Hello, this is Donna Martin, and this reflection focuses on my observation number 2 activity and my planning for observation number 3. This is for my principal practicum. In this video, I will discuss my reflection for observation number 2. Through the planning and facilitation of observation number 2, I learned the importance of collaborative problem solving using data as the foundation for instructional decision making. By engaging teachers in a focused discussion around identified gaps in student performance, we were able as a team to surface authentic instructional challenges and collaboratively develop targeted strategies to address these needs. Specifically, the team emphasized the importance of explicit instructional aids that could be utilized in structured small group supports and consistent progress monitoring for economically disadvantaged and at-risk students. I also learned how effective facilitation requires both preparation, clear data, and focus, and flexibility to respond to each other's insights during the discussion. This was a very eye-opening discussion for my team and I, as these were real time events that were actually occurring on our campus as of this year. So this observation was very beneficial for not only myself, but for my other colleagues and things that they are wanting to take back into their PLCs and implement within their classroom setting, which was amazing. So this was very, very informative. How I will use what I learned for future purposes. Moving forward, I do plan on applying these facilitation strategies to future team meetings and PLCs by ensuring that discussions are data-driven, inclusive, and solution-oriented, which is extremely important. The topic of conversation must remain on the data. The data drives everything that we do within the school setting and how it particularly affects students that are economically disadvantaged or those at-risk students. I will also continue to emphasize the alignment between identified needs, instructional strategies, and measurable outcomes. This experience reinforced the importance of shared ownership and distributed leadership, which I will carry into my future role as a future leader, which is exciting as well. Some activities or experiences that I will need to kind of take to the next level. So to build on this particular learning, I do plan to observe the implementation of the proposed instructional strategies in actual classroom settings and collect follow-up data to measure their impact. One thing that we talked about during our observation as a team was utilizing the activity plan that we came up with and created together collaboratively, taking that and utilizing that within small groups, utilizing that with tier 1 instruction, utilizing that in special education, because it is something that would be not just beneficial to the economically disadvantaged students and the at-risk students, but the SPED students and those tier 1 students as well. Additionally, I would also benefit from engaging in more structured coaching cycles with teachers to support just the refinement of tier 1 practices. That was something that we talked about as well within the observation, the coaching that is provided through either leadership that is on campus or with a colleague. Something that we discussed in the observation was micro teaching, which I think would be very beneficial for all of us, to do some levels of micro teaching, which we have started implementing on my campus as well. But again, it does need some more intentionality behind it. So participating in professional learning focused on facilitation skills, data analysis, and just culturally responsive instructional design would also deepen my ability to lead this type of collaborative work effectively, in the future once I become an administrator. So my plan for observation 3, some things that I think went well in observation 2, first and foremost, was that there was very clear and concise data. The data was presented well. Um, and we focused on the topic at hand. There was active participation and idea sharing from each teacher that was present within that observation. We all contributed in some way based on our level of expertise. We had a math gen ed teacher in there that could speak to the tier 1 instruction, that could speak to the things that are being seen in real time in small group lessons, and being able to just utilize that feedback on things that could be done differently or better moving forward. We also had a SPED math resource teacher in that observation. So she was able to provide insight on the special education side and things that we are seeing for with students that are needing additional support that may be several grade levels below, and we're trying to fill those academic gaps. So I think that went really well. Just the variety of different teachers that was in the observation. Also, identification of just like the actionable instructional strategies. We really did narrow in and pinpoint strategies that could be extremely useful on a major skill, that quite a bit of our economically disadvantaged students, specifically, and our at-risk students, did not do so well on. We also, another thing that went well was strong alignment to the campus priorities and the students' needs. Of course, as a campus, our goal is to ensure that our students all are hitting those grade level criterias. And so just working collaboratively together, not just as colleagues, but as an entire campus to make sure that the students are getting exactly what they need academically. So for observation number 3, I will again provide teachers with targeted student data and draft instructional materials prior to the meeting, to allow for deeper, more focused planning during the session. We recently had a district assessment specifically in math, so I do plan on utilizing that data. Since we have already started implementing that instructional activity that we came up with that could be extremely beneficial to our students that are economically disadvantaged or at risk. So I think that just pulling that current data from math specifically and looking at the trends will allow for more focused and deeper planning. I will also incorporate more structured protocols, such as maybe like a short warm up, that to just ground the discussion more quickly. I know it kind of took us some time to kind of warm up a little bit, but just kind of get the wheel spinning. Also, additional things that I would like to bring forth. I will prepare updated student performance data. I am currently tracking data. The math SPED teacher is also currently tracking the data from, again, our most recent district math assessment. So including that formative assessment results and just looking at that trend within that data to support the teachers in evaluating the effectiveness of initial strategies and identifying what the next steps after looking at that data. Now let's plan for what's next. What do we do next with this information that has now been provided to us? Um, So moving forward, I do plan to include the same teacher participants that I had in observation two. Um, in my very first observation, I had two colleagues and I cranked it up a notch this observation and added a third person who was specifically a special education teacher and specifically taught math. So I think bringing in that third person that specifically dealt with the content area at hand was extremely beneficial and eye-opening, and it allowed for a really good dialogue and great conversation about what we're seeing within the data. So I do plan on keeping that same team moving forward just to ensure continuity as well as just, utilizing the people that already have the knowledge of what it is that we've done from observation one to now observation number two. I do plan on sharing this information as I did previously with my site supervisor. I will share the updated data from this observation number two, the instructional focus for observation number three with my site supervisor as well, and the intended outcomes. So just like the finalizing and planning implementation of that instructional strategy and activity that we created and came up with, hopefully with doing so and sharing this information with him, he is also able to look at it from a very collaborative place and bring this forth in PLCs for the multiple grade levels that take the test, which is third through fifth grade, to help with improving just the overall campus data. Um, and of course, to, get feedback from him on things that I could possibly implement or do differently is going to be beneficial once I share this information with my site supervisor. So the purpose of observation number three will be to finalize and refine the instructional strategy identified during observation number two. Really just hone in on a plan for next steps. Again, with creating this particular um, activity in supplemental aid, having had a district assessment recently done, I think that this is perfect timing to go ahead and develop a concrete implementation plan and determine how the progress will be monitored at a campus and at a classroom level. I know that the teachers that were in my observation do plan on collecting data from their students specifically. I do plan to record observation number three within the week that it is due, allowing my colleagues sufficient time to review that data and the materials beforehand. I will ensure that the observation environment, of course, is structured to maximize dialogue, and I will prepare a follow-up tool for the teachers to document next steps, as I did for the first observation. I did send out a Google form, just getting feedback from them on all the things that we talked about and things that they could possibly do moving forward. Additionally, I will reflect on my facilitation techniques just to continue growing as an instructional leader and a future administrator. Thank you.